everybody, my name's Sweat. Today I read the cover. It was a hot day in the desert when the turtles awoke from a nap. A lizard slithered across the sand in front of the turtles and said, "Have you seen the new turtles in this part?" "I haven't," responded the old turtle. "Well, folks say that this new tortoise is quicker than any of you old guys." "No way," said the old tortoise. "There is a lot to be said for experiments." "I guess we'll find out the tortoise race tomorrow," said the lizard as he stormed off. Said the old tortoise. He wasn't afraid. I guess the next morning, all of the desert animals gathered to watch the tortoise race. It was the highlight of the year. All the tortoises lined up along the starting line. The new tortoise poked his head through the grass. He was nervous. Someone hollered for the new tortoise to join them. As he stepped out, a hush flew from the crowd. This tortoise was small with a cracked shell. "That tortoise is going to be easy to beat," whispered the tortoise. "He's falling apart." The young tortoise went to the line. The race began and the tortoise were off. All of the desert animals gathered at the finish line. He was stunned to see the young tortoise reach the finish line first. The crack in his shell did not affect his racing skills. The tortoise couldn't have been more wrong about him. They all agreed that he won the race and gave him a standing ovation. Flamingo FOIBLES. Freddie the Flamingo's first word was sorry. He was born apologizing and never seemed to pass a day without doing so. He was sorry for tripping other flamingos on accident, and he was sorry for accidentally eating someone else's food. One day, Freddie was feeding next to the biggest flamingo in the group. His name was Frank. Frank loved his breakfast under the shade of the water trees. Freddie was busy getting his food. Freddie was humming as he ate, when all of a sudden he saw some flamingo legs standing directly in front of him. He looked out to see Frank staring at him. "Oh, sorry," said Freddie. "I didn't know I was in your way." "That's okay," said Frank. "No, really, I'm sorry," insisted Freddie. "I believe you," said Frank. "Now move on." No, said Freddie. "I don't think you understand. Just then, a crane swooped down and ate a fish. It startled Freddie so much that he jumped. In jumping, he managed to knock a group of flamingo flat on their backs, including Frank. Freddie immediately jumped up and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I did not mean to do this." "Oh, will you ever forgive me?" Frank slowly rose his feet and stood directly over Freddie. He spoke in a low, deep voice. "Freddie, I'm only going to say this once. It's okay. Move on. Don't dwell on it." And with that, Frank shot her off to find another feeding spot. Housework. One there was a mother mouse. She was very proud of her 5 mouse children. The mouse family lived in the house of the human family. The mouse family worked hard to keep the human home clean. After each meal, the mice would scurry out to pick up crumbs and other things that had dropped to the floor. It was busy and hectic life, but it was a hard-working mouse family. That is, except for one family member. Mina Mouse was content to spend her days lying around. She has no desires to work and managed to get out the most of the chores. One day, Mother Mouse knew that things had to change. She sat Mina down and explained that she had to start carrying her own weight. "But Mother," protested Mina. "No, my child, you will one day see the wisdom of this," replied Mother Mouse. And that day was soon to come. The next morning, Mother gave out assignments. The mice children hurried to get a job done so that they could play. That is, except for Mina. She spent her morning complaining. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. Mona answered her door and found her neighbor visiting the children to go with them on feline circus. Mother allowed all the children to go as long as their chores were done. Everyone had the chores done except for Mina. From the day forward, Mina always managed to get her jobs done first. Princess problem. Isabel was a princess. Most girls had loved to take her place, but Isabel was hopelessly depressed. She despised being a princess. Day in and day out, she hated wearing dresses, and she never knew what to do with her ladies in waiting. One day, as she sat in her room, she noticed a frog hopping across the windowsill. She gently opened the window and called to the little frog. Little frog, please come back here. I have a question for you, called Isabel. The frog hopped back to the window where the princess was sitting. Yes? If I kiss you, what would happen? Will you turn to a prince? Asked Isabel. No, you'll be the one changing. You'll turn into whatever you were thinking of. That sounds like exactly what I need, replied the princess. Yeah, but be careful. Many people are not happy with what they change into. They learned that they were much happier with the way they were, cautioned the frog. Oh no, don't worry. I'd like to be just about anyone else right now. Isabel scooped up the frog and puckered her lips. Just then, a duck ran through the garden below. It made Isabel think of her own duck. Before she knew it, Isabel looked down and saw white fur all over the body. She couldn't believe it. What had she done? The frog shook his head and hopped away, saying, The grass always does look greener. Funny Frida. Frida the fox was one of the young foxes learning how to hunt. She would practice her skill every day. She wanted to be the one of the best, but she still had a lot to learn. Her dad took her out one day, and Frida found a mouse to chase. She chased the mouse and almost caught it until she saw a rabbit hop by. She stopped chasing the mouse and began chasing the rabbit. Silly Frida, why did you do that? Asked her dad. Dad, a rabbit would have been bigger and a better catch. Her dad just shook his head. The next day they went hunt again. Frida did the same thing, except this time she stopped chasing a rabbit to chase a chicken. She came home with neither. When they got back, all Frida's brothers and sister had a catch. Frida sat by herself in the back and pouted. She almost had the chicken and the rabbit, but instead she came home with neither. The next day, Frida went hunting alone. This time she decided she would catch whatever animal she saw first. There would be no switching gears to after other animals. It wasn't long before she saw a hen striking by. She decided this was it. She raced after the hen and made her pounce. It worked. She got a hen. She promptly walked home to show her dad. He was thrilled, telling Frida, Yeah, you finally got it.